The engines on the Fat Controllers Railway were very excited. The first of the summer rail tours pulled by Stepney was due to arrive at any minute. Percy and Douglas were remembering when he first came to Sodor many years ago. "It will be great to see how Stepney's been getting on," said Percy. "I know," replied Douglas. "Hopefully since then he hasn't run off with any more cricket balls." Toby chuffed up. "I just hope the journey isn't too much for him," he said. "Sodor's a long way away from where he lives on the mainland. Perhaps one of his Bluebell mates could lend him a wheel," thought Douglas. Just then, the engines heard a chorus of whistles in the distance. They were surprised to see not one, but 2 trains pull into the station. They were pulled by Stepney, along with 3 other engines. "Hello everyone," Stepney called out. "The Railtours manager said there were so many passengers that we needed to take 2 trains, so some of my Bluebell Railway friends came to help me out. Meet Adams, Bluebell and Primrose." "Guess I was right," chuckled Douglas. Soon everyone came to see Stepney and his friends. They wanted to know all about the happenings on at the Bluebell Railway. "And we've had plenty of events and special visitors," Stepney was explaining. "Nothing like on Sodor, of course, but I'd say successful enough for a heritage line." "And we've heard so much about you all," said Adams. "Why, when he came back after his first visit, he couldn't stop talking about his adventures." "It is fortunate you were able to come back," said Thomas. "Indeed," replied Duck. "We've missed you dearly." Bluebell and Primrose were getting bored. "Stepney," asked Bluebell, "can you show us where you found that cricket ball? Or the hill where you pulled that train with Duck?" added Primrose. "Be patient, you 2, said Adams sternly. "We'll be able to see all that in good time." "But we're bored, Adams." The 2 tank engines winced. Adams made a face. "Oh, I don't know. Honestly, you 2 pull a loaded passenger train all across the whole of England, and you're not even so much as winded." "We're not as lazy as you are," said Primrose cheekily. Adams spluttered at this. Thomas and Duck couldn't help but laugh. "All right, you 2, called Stepney. "Leave poor Adams alone." Bluebell and Primrose had to be content. The next morning, the 4 Bluebell engines simmered happily in the yard. The Railtours manager had invited enthusiasts to take their photographs. The engines didn't mind. They were used to it. But Bluebell and Primrose were quickly becoming anxious. "Stepney, can't we go and explore the island now?" Bluebell asked. "We've been in this yard for ages," moaned Primrose. "We have to wait for the Railtours manager to okay it first," said Stepney. "Besides," remarked Adams, "you'd never been here before. Suppose you 2 were to get lost." "We wouldn't get lost," Primrose scoffed. "Stepney's stories gave us plenty of description." "I wouldn't depend on that alone." The Railtours manager came up, having overheard their conversation. "I know you 2 are excited," he said, "but Stepney and Adams must go with you when you explore the island." "Yes, sir," the tank engine sighed. Just then, Edward pulled up. "Stepney," he said, "I'm off to the docks. Would you and your friends like to come with me?" "Please?" asked Bluebell and Primrose together. "That sounds like a splendid idea," said the Railtours manager. He turned to the twins. "But remember what I said, you 2. Stay with Stepney and Adams." The engines were off and away, and soon arrived at the docks. Edward, Stepney and Adams talked with old friends, while Bluebell and Primrose examined their new surroundings. But soon the two became bored again.
"Psst, Bluebell," whispered Primrose. "Let's sneak away."
"But the Railtour manager told us not to go without Stepney and Adams," Bluebell protested.
"Oh, we won't be gone for long," Primrose insisted. "Besides, we'll never see the whole of Sodor with them chatting about."
"You're right," said Bluebell.
"Let's slip away."
So they both quietly puffed out of the docks without anyone noticing. Stepney then looked up. "Adams," he said,
"where the twins got to?"
"What do you mean? They're right here." The engines looked in horror to see that neither Bluebell or Primrose were anywhere. "They must have slipped away when we weren't looking," said Edward.
"But where could they have got to?"
asked Stepney. "If you chatty engines were paying attention," Cranky grumbled above them, "you'd see that they ran off that way." "Right," Edward announced. "Adams, you head that way to see if you can find them. Stepney and I will go back to Knapford to tell the Fat Controller." And the engine set off. Meanwhile, Bluebell and Primrose were having a wonderful time. They raced around the island, taking in the surroundings. But soon, the two engines found themselves in the scrapyard.
"This place is scary,"
Primrose shivered.
"We should probably go back,"
Bluebell suggested. But there was trouble. The two engines had puffed around so much that they ran out of water and couldn't move. They were stuck where they sat.
"Now what are we going to do?"
Bluebell winced.
"I'm sure Stepney and Adams will help us,"
said Primrose.
"But they don't know where we are,"
Bluebell cried.
"Oh, we shouldn't have run off."
Then Harry and Bert emerged from the smelting shed. "Well, look what we have here, Bert," growled Harry. "A couple of steamies prime for scrapping," joked Bert.
"Help!"
called the twins.
"These engines aren't for scrapping,"
called a voice. Edward, Stepney and Adams rolled into the scrapyards.
"Leave these engines alone,"
yelled Stepney. All right, said Bert. "We weren't really going to scrap this lot. We was only having a laugh, weren't we?" sniffed Harry. "Come on, you two," said Edward as he coupled up to the twins. "That's enough excitement for you today."
"Yes, Edward,"
they whimpered. "I'm ashamed of you," the Railtour manager scolded. "I told you not to go wandering off without Stepney or Adams."
"Yes, sir. Sorry, sir,"
the two engines said mournfully. "And we should have kept a better eye on you," Stepney admitted. "Yes," said Adams. "We shouldn't have gotten so distracted." "We've all made mistakes today," said Edward. "But," the Fat Controller added, "the important thing is that you're all safe and accounted for." All the engines agreed. The next day, everyone came to say goodbye to Stepney and the Bluebell engines. "We shall miss you," the Fat Controller said.
"Come back and see us soon," said the engines. "And you are always welcome on the Bluebell Railway," said Stepney.
Then the guard's whistle blew, and the Bluebell Railway engines puffed for home.